Hi, welcome back to my High Plains Life. My name is Danielle, I'm your hostess, and it is August 29th, 2018 today. This is episode 45. It's been a while since I podcasted. Life. and I think the pace of life changes in the summer for everybody, whether you have kids in school or not. And so I definitely became a part of that. and I will talk about some of that later and off topic also. So, as I mentioned, this is episode 45, and we're back in the saddle again. Excuse me if I say a lot because it's been a while since I've done this, and it's kind of weird talking to the camera again. So I've definitely missed you, though. Every time I hit a oops in a project or finish something new or cast something on, I was like, oh, I can't wait to tell everybody about this. So here we go. On the needles. I have FOs. I better, right? It's been a month. So the first things I finished, and it's been a while, so I'm kind of like, have I talked about this yet or not? And no, I have not. These are my homemade hanger sock blockers, and they're sized for a size 6 foot. And these socks are bigger than that. They're probably an 8 or a 9-ish. So these are the lattice socks. I forget who they're by, but a link to my Ravelry project page is in the show notes. I remember talking about having to rip back and start again after the heel. And once I did that extra wrap for the lattice stitch, worked fine. These fit my calves, so no problem with them stretching. I love the pattern. It really is pretty. It's fairly easy. I finally got it memorized. Again, it's just a slip stitch and then pick it up. So this is O-Loops yarn in the Picket colorway from their Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. And I like them. Kind of bummed they don't fit me, but I guess they're going to be a Christmas present for somebody, and yay! So, socks finished. I also finished, ignore my shawl, I'll talk about this later. This is my Siciliana cardigan. Love it. Love, love, love it. Cannot say love enough times. I love the shape. I love the yarns. I love the pattern, drape, everything. Siciliana. I forget who by. Again, there's a link to my project page in the show notes. This is from 3 Irish Girls Yarn in the Très Chic colorway, and I forgot. Hemlock-ish, maybe? Again, it's on my project page. Love it. Love the shape. It's a long crescent shawl, like beyond my arm width. I don't know if I can even back it up. It's a 2-color shawl with mosaic knitting. It looked great before being blocked, but after being blocked, it was just, look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? And it's just long and beautiful and great colors. So easy to wear. Dun, 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 as I wrap it around my head. Okay, this didn't wrap well with my other thing on. It looks all bulky, but it's not. You can wrap it around a couple times. It's long enough you can literally literally just have it over your shoulders with one wrap over. This is how I think I'm going to wear it. Just because I want this gorgeous pattern to be visible. So, love it. Gorgeous. Easy. Don't be scared of the mosaic knitting. I think an advanced beginner could do this. It's really just slip stitches. You're only using one color at a time per row. It's not difficult at all. Garter stitch in between. I don't think you even purl. It's all knits, I think. Knits and slip stitches. Gorgeous. Easy. Highly recommend. Great results. And I love knitting with the 3 Irish Girls yarn. So that is something that I think will definitely be on my to buy list in the future, is more 3 Irish Girls. So loving it. Those are my finished objects. Oh, let me get a little closer. Those are my finished objects. In addition, when my sister and brother-in-law and nieces came to visit earlier in the summer, I had shown you previously the Wonder Woman socks and Supergirl socks that I'd made for my nieces. I did add heels to the Wonder Woman socks for one of my nieces. I had her try them on so I could pick the spot, and I did add heels. So hopefully they fit her through this winter at least. Don't grow feet so fast. Okay. Whips. I have several exciting whips to show you. Okay, this is getting hot. I was keeping it there so that it'd be easy to get to later, but whew, that's hot. Having all that wool around your neck. Okay, works in progress. My Take Everywhere Simple Knitting is in my Bee Splat bag by Mrs. Brown's Bags. And this is literally vanilla socks. I had attempted to do, you can kind of see a little lip in the vanilla socks where there's a couple rows with some purl stitches in them. Right there. I don't think you'd know if I didn't point them out. Maybe. Tried to add the syncopation pattern to them because I was kind of getting bored. Vanilla socks, and that's easily memorizable pattern that just adds a little bit of texture, I guess, to it. But this yarn, which is the Zeno, Plymouth Yarn Zeno, which is a 75-25 wool nylon. It's a great sock yarn, nice and hardy, but if you can see, it's got this little halo to it. Just fuzzy enough. That's a good color. Just fuzzy enough that it was not showing the texture pattern the way I wanted it to. And I was like, I'm not going to do all that effort for it to not be visible and just look funny. So I went back to vanilla. Yay! Hopefully there'll be enough interest with the changing colors in the sock. I like it. Hopefully my dad will too. So these are going to be for my dad. I measured his foot previously and it was 10.5 inches long. This is a 64, stitch sock. So it's a little bigger around than I would need it. I'm on 1.5 US with 2.5 millimeter. So they're not snug on me. They fit, but they're not snug. So hopefully the width is okay. I did it for a 10.5 inch long foot. Put in a spacious OMG heel by Megan Williams, which I love. It's like a mock gusset from Toe Up socks. It's the darkest yarn at that point, so it's kind of hard to see. Spacious OMG heel, and now I'm just knitting up the calf. The plan is to make these for my dad. I think these are masculine colors, and even though I like them green, hopefully he'll like them. Hopefully they'll fit, and they are going to be a Christmas present. I'm doing them one at a time instead of two at a time like I normally do, because I really did intend these to be travel knitting and wanted to reduce the amount of fiddliness as much as possible, if that makes sense. So one at a time, in my bag. Bag squishes, fits in my purse, squish, and doesn't take up much room at all. So, sock knitting, vanilla sock knitting. Whip 1. What do we got next? Whip number 2 is my purse shawl that I have been knitting out of Red Heart TLC Essentials. I've had this for like 10 years. It was $2.97 at Hobby Lobby 10 years ago. It's acrylic. These are given away, so it's easiest to have machine wash and dry fibers, so we don't have to worry about handling and care instructions. I just started the 3rd skein of yarn. These are on size 10s. I have been working on this. So it's getting, this is upside down, obviously. This is the top, this is the bottom where the V is. It's just a triangular garter stitch shawl. Back and forth. The yarn's pretty. It's getting there. The plan is just to finish out the last of this 3rd skein of yarn because I'm not going to use it for anything else. And it might as well be a big, warm, cuddly shawl. It's getting big enough that it covers my lap, and the acrylic is really warm in the summer. So thank goodness I have AC. Yay! I've been listening to a lot of other podcasts and European, Canadian podcasters, and everybody's like, we don't have AC. And I'm like, it's the 21st century. It doesn't matter where you're at, the technology is available. So I'm like, we don't have extreme heat waves here in Colorado either, but it gets hot enough for long enough that AC is totally worthwhile. Oh, thank you, gods of technology. I love my AC. Okay, prayer shawl whip number 2. I'm gonna show you my favorite last. So whip number 3. Ooh, my Black Watch plaid waxed canvas bag. Ooh, super secret test knit. I can't show it to you. All I can show you is, ta-da! This is my skein. Oh, messed up a bit winding it. Of hand-spun alpaca. I have about 220 yards. It's some of my earlier hand-spun. I think it was done on the wheel. Dog hair. It's a 2-ply, and it's kind of uniform. I do have some thicker, thinner spots, nothing too extreme. I do have some areas that have more twist than others. But as you can see here, obviously there's not like excess energy in it. It hangs pretty smoothly. I look at some of my older handspun and I'm like, wow. And I don't have a lot with significant yardages. So I'm always like, what am I going to do with that? Well, Super Secret Test Knit is designed specifically for handspun. Yay! So I was hoping to use a variegated yarn for it, but what I had at the right weight and yardage was this alpaca. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to use it. It's going to be great nuts to skin, and we'll get this test knit knocked out. So as soon as Shiloh publishes, you'll get more than just a peek. Okay, so that's book number 4, 3. Excuse me, project bags are all on the floor. The one you've been waiting for. Okay, maybe not, but I certainly have. This is my Runa cardigan by Gudrun Johnston, knit in Malabrigo Rios in the lettuce colorway. I've made so much progress since the last time. It's been a month, right? Yeah. I have needles everywhere because I have, I really do. I have both sleeves on the needles, and I'm not doing them at the same time, but I'm doing them concurrently. So I do so many rows, decrease, switch to the other sleeve, so many rows, decrease, so that I make sure they're the same. And I can try it on because I've already adjusted, altered, differed. I've already differed from the patterns decrease order, I guess, because I have, fat lady arms. So I'm decreasing slightly slower than they had you doing it. I have needles and yarn tails everywhere, but look at this. So this is the back. Isn't that beautiful, that flying wing stitch? Love it. Sleeve. Second sleeve. Cardigan. You can see this across the front. I used a 3 needle bind off to join the shoulders. Can you see my seam? There it is. Really easy, beautiful lines, makes everything, dog hair, really clean, lines up great, and stability. So no need, to worry, because this is going to be a heavy cardigan. Seed stitch, man, just eats up the yarn. Very heavy, very warm and snuggly. This is going to be an awesome cardigan. I've got shoulder, front neck, whatever stitches on spare cables. As soon as I finish the sleeves, so I have a skein of yarn for each sleeve. One has slightly more yardage than the other because I used it to finish up the back. Sleeves, and then I pick up along the back of the neck and the shoulder for the hood. And then once the hood is done, then I pick up along the front, along the top of the hood, and down the other side for the button band. And I have another skein of yarn for that. So I'm hoping I have enough yarn for the hood and the button band. If not, the button band, I am totally fine if I have to buy one more skein of Rios in the lettuce colorway. Dye lots won't matter at that point because it's already kind of variegated, and it's the button band. If it's slightly off, design feature. So very excited about that. I love this. Look at that, isn't it gorgeous? I love the Vickle braid. It's such a neat feature. Just a little bit of interest. Very cool. I've decided, now that I'm such a great garment knitter, um, but now that I do have several garments, sweaters, and cardigans under my belt, a lot more confident about knitting garments to fit my size. Swatches don't always lie. um, but I like knitting textured sweaters. I can buy a plain stockinette sweater commercially. That sounds horrible, but I can. You can still find textured sweaters, cabled sweaters, but it's a little harder, and they're all very similar. Whereas there are a ton of very unique textured sweater patterns out there. And this is what I like. If I'm going to spend my time knitting a pullover or cardigan, I want it to be for something special. So that is just something I realized for myself, and I really enjoy it. I like learning new stitches. I like having something unusual that you can't find in a store. I am a process knitter more than a product knitter, but I do want to be able to use that product at the end. I want to love it, and I want it to fit, and I want it to be special. I knit for my mental health. But the products I create, I also want to be special and unique. So, my little knitting epiphany. Yay. But I am loving knitting on my Runa cardigan. I'm going to kind of be sad when it's done because I love the color. I love the pattern. I've enjoyed everything about this. So that is my last whip. I do have some acquisitions. I got them at the grand reopening, I guess you'd say, of my favorite LAS, You and Me, a yarn boutique. They moved from their previous location just a few doors down, and they now have over twice the amount of space. So they've got room for more yarns, they've got a classroom, they've got an entire room for spinning and weaving, which is a big space. So it's a nice space people can spread out with their wheels. They have the bathrooms. In addition, they have a laundry tub in the back with water, so people, if they plan on doing dye classes or felting classes, they've got that tub available to use. It just is a much more functional space for them, and I'm very excited. Their grand reopening, and I found some yarns. I was just looking for one skein for, again, a pair of men's socks. It's time I started another pair for Brian. Oh, Mr. Boring. Well, he's not Mr. Boring, but the socks he wants are boring. So I was like, well, what is this? Happy Feet. So Plymouth Happy Feet 100. It's a 90-10 superwash merino nylon. Superwash. So we can, throw them in the wash. Do you see how boring? There, that's a good color. Do you see how boring that is? Grays. Just a tint of purple and blue. But at least it's got a little more variegation than the last pair I knit them, which was really just great. So, men's socks. I found these, but then when I was looking, I found this. A local yarn dyer does Andromeda, and this is her sock yarn in the color Smoke. It's a 75-25 superwash wool nylon. And again, I thought, just a nice steady blue. Yes, Willow, I hear you grumbling. A nice steady blue with some darker speckles. So a little bit of surprise variegation, you know, but still in very muted colors. Isn't that pretty? So I think I can sneak this past my husband. Then, of course, I found this. And what I saw was this, the end of the skein on the shelf. Pulled it out and I was like, ooh, 100 ravens. Love it. It's in the Lafayette colorway. This is their patos yarn. It's 75/25 merino nylon, superwash. So I saw that and I was like, sure, that would be good for a guy. It's a little bright blue, but I can talk him into it. And then I pulled it out and I was like, ooh, it's kind of got like a light blue to a smoky gray to a kind of a tan there. This might be stretching it. He might be like, oh, that's too much stuff. But I think I'm going to try it. See if I can't get him to wear them. Because I think this would knit up beautifully. So these are my acquisitions. I got them all, hopefully to make men's socks for, with the original intent of making them for the husband. But I think if he doesn't like them, I can also give them off to my dad. They have about the same size feet, but I figure by the time I've worked the foot, I'll know whether or not Brian will accept it or not. So if he doesn't, then I can just knit for the size for my dad. Aren't you lucky, Dad? Okay, so those are my acquisitions. I have done a lot of spinning. I did not do toile fleece. I didn't start spinning till afterwards. But I had some merino yarn, Ashland Bay in the Sage colorway. I'd spun some singles previously. I had like two and a half bobbins of singles. I finished up the third bobbin of the singles, and then I did a whole lot of plying. I did this as a 3-ply. Yay! I have approximately 718 yards, maybe-ish. I filled up my plying bobbin, loaded it with the big skein, and then I got additionally that. So together they're about 718 yards. I have washed this and thwacked it. I snapped it to try and set the plies. You can tell I was going for a more rounded yarn. I was kind of hoping I could do something, again, I've been thinking about textured garments. So I was thinking maybe I can do cables or something with this. But then looking at it, I have some sections that look like this, where the plies aren't very good together. And I think that has more to do with the amount of twist I put into the ply at that point. Most of it looks really good. Look at it. How pretty that 3-ply is. Just nice and round and plump and beautiful. And again, this is the Sage colorway, so it's mostly green, but it has little pops of red and yellow and turquoise. It's nice and fun. Not exactly sure what I'm going to do with it. I did spin some of these singles a long time ago. So while everything was mostly uniform, again, there were some areas that were over twisted or under twisted. So when I plied them together, I think that's where I got those sections that didn't quite ply together right. Because you want, for a nice round balanced 3-ply, you don't want 2 yarns to wrap together and then the third to wrap around them. You want, this is hard, it's like Puppet Master. You want all 3 yarns to twist around each other together. So you want to pretend like there's a center line down the middle, like a center pull, like a maypole, a center line down the middle around which all 3 singles are twirling. So they're all equally twisted around the imaginary center line instead of each other, like instead of the 2 and then the 1. I'm not explaining this well at all. Oh, this is why I don't teach spinning. I just do it myself. So there's some areas where I definitely did a great job with the 3-ply, and then some other areas where definitely did not achieve the results I wanted. And those were the sections where either my singles were or even if I had perfect singles, I accidentally let 2 singles ply with each other and then the third wrapped around, which did not give me the results I wanted. So I don't know. I have a lot of yardage. Not really enough for a whole garment, but like 718, 720 yards. That's pretty significant. So I figure I'm about a DK worsted weight. That's my spinning. And when we're done here, I'm going to take my Lundrum outside and do some more spinning on the back patio. Because I'm kind of on a spinning kick right now. And also, I really want to enjoy being outside while I can with the weather, because it's already turning. I can already feel it turning. It's getting cooler at night. There's actually mornings when I go outside and I'm chilly. I know, right? So I want to get out and enjoy the weather when I can. Under the needles, I am playing catch up. I have started season 2 of the Prairie Women Sewing Circle. These are some of the quilts. Excuse the glare. I took my glasses off because I couldn't get the glare to stop, so. And I give you more glare. These are the quilts that we will be doing this season. This is the one we should have done now, be working on now. And of course, I'm already playing catch up. So the next meeting is in September. We've already had July and August. And I'm hoping I can get caught up because I'm taking the classes because I enjoy the patterns and the fabrics and the small projects. Because I'm like, oh, I can finish a small project. And I'm behind already. But I did buy more fabric. I know, right? They're all reproductions. I do not have to stick with only Joe Morton prints anymore. Any reproduction, not that I ever really did, but any reproduction fabric will work for these projects. So, oh, those are the same. Ignore that. It's not a pretty purple. There. That's pretty accurate color. Guess what? They did have purple in the 1800s. It's called You Blend Matter and Indigo. Purple! Sorry. Pinkish purple. Little turkey red. So, couldn't resist. Some more acquisitions. I am hand quilting my pineapple table runner, kind of stop and go with it. I chalked with the pouncer thing some hand cut stencils in the setting triangles that I wanted to do, and I just did those first and then thinking I'd go back with the other pattern and chalk in the blocks. The chalk is not staying on like I wanted to, so I might have to re-chalk those stencils on. I'm only about a third of the way through with the setting triangles. I haven't even done the center squares yet, so we'll see. That is it for Under the Needle. In the garden, the yard work continues. I've officially conceded to the weeds. They've won. I give up. They've taken over the garden. The hops were hit multiple times with hail this year, right when they were developing the flowers. So they pretty much got beat to hell. Beat them to hell. They can handle it if it just rips up the leaves. But when they'd already begun to flower and the hail hit those two, it knocked a bunch off the branches, and so I basically did not get a very good crop this year, so I just didn't even bother harvesting the hops. I just let them sit on the vines and go ahead and ripen through the point where you're supposed to pick them, when the flowers are still tight together and the lupulin content is good. Because once they start opening up, the chemistry changes and they dry out, and yeah. So no hop harvest this year. I have been doing some practical random acts of kindness. That's what I'm calling it. The neighbors think I'm the crazy weed lady. Some random acts of kindness by pulling some neighbors' weeds, their front yard. I got caught by the neighbor pulling weeds in her front yard. It wasn't necessarily like her close-up front yard. It was this section between the sidewalk and the street where there's rocks, but once they let like the big weeds grow in there, it just looks really bad. So I was just going down the street pulling weeds. Practical, random act of kindness. Got caught by the neighbor twice, and she just looked at me, and I'm like, oh, just ignore me. I like pulling weeds, so I'm not I'm that crazy neighbor lady. I have been doing some planning for fall planting of perennials to fill in some of the blank spaces we have. My husband is like, let's just finish it up. And I'm like, yeah. High Country Gardens is still online and they are still shipping. In our area for fall planting, middle September is generally when they ship and recommend planting. So I'm going to do a combination of ordering from High Country Gardens and our local nursery here. They don't have as wide a selection as High Country Gardens do, but then I also don't have to pay for shipping dirt. I've enjoyed doing that planning and it's been a blast. In the bee yard, the bees are alive. I do need to do some serious weed mitigation. And throw on the second boxes. I should have thrown on the second boxes a month and a half ago, but they were building up really slow and I didn't want to push them, but it's time. And I'm hoping that they can build that up to have enough stores for winter. If not, I'll be feeding through the winter, which is fine. I can do candy board and all that, but it's not as good as having them fill up the frames themselves, because then it's closer to them and they don't have to leave the hive ball to go reach the food. So that's it for in the yard. It's really hard to take a video when you're doing things by yourself. So if I remember, I'll set up the tripod and the GoPro and record some video. Don't hold your breath. As far as off topic, summer cows are finishing up. Fall ones are starting. Boston Jen with the Down Cellar Studio is getting the pigskin party cow up for 2018. I have been tired a lot lately. This is actually a good week for me. Not necessarily depressed, just a lot of exhaustion and lack of desire to do anything. I do a little bit of work and be thoroughly worn out for the rest of the day. I've been sleeping a lot, which is one of the symptoms of depression. So I've just been keeping an eye on that and paying attention. And again, just being conscious that I am not checking out, that I am still continuing to engage in my life. You know, talk to my husband, speak to your friends. So I've been doing, you know, highs and lows. That's life. One of the things we did do when we had energy, when I had energy, my husband's like, the cherries are gonna go bad, let's do this now. So we made our own Luxardo cherries. If you like Manhattans, you need Luxardo cherries. A jar of Luxardo cherries this size is probably 20 bucks, 15. They're expensive. So what we did was we just bought Luxardo liqueur, which is clear, and it was cherry season, so we just bought a couple bags of cherries, dumped them in a whole bunch of jars, and covered them in the liquor. The liquor was clear to start with. Let's see if I can get some sunlight going through it. There, maybe. If you can see, it is already pink, just from the cherries sitting in it. My phone, sorry. So the cherries add flavor to the liqueur, so it's not just boozy cherries. And the Luxardo soaks into the cherries and makes them delicious. So you throw a couple of these in your next Manhattan. We made a bunch of them. Really easy canning because you don't need to do the whole water bath, etc., because it's liquor and they won't go bad. Obviously, once you open, you should keep it in the fridge. Yeah. So we canned a whole bunch of these and we're planning on using them as Christmas gifts. And us, duh. Yum. My new favorite thing is Dr. Pepper with a couple cherries and a splash of the liquor. It's like cherry Dr. Pepper with a kick. Awesome. They're also really good in amaretto sours, anything with amaretto, anything with whiskey, anything with rum. What have I been watching or listening to? I have been listening, especially last month, well, this month, early this month, to all my favorite podcasters doing SSK recaps. SSK is a super summer knit together put on by the Knit Girls, Leslie and Laura. And I love them. I watch them. Thought about going in the past, but I'm like, who wants to be in Nashville at the end of July? I can't handle heat and humidity. So, I thought about it, but never really seriously. Then I started realizing that all the other podcasters I enjoy watching, Amy Beth, the Fat Squirrel, Amy Florence of Stranded, Dieworks and the Stranded podcast. Yeah, just a lot of the podcasters that I enjoy watching and listening to all go to SSK. So I gave it more thought. I looked into it. The price is realistic. I mentioned it to my husband as a possibility for next year, and he's like, sure, why not? Let's make a week out of it. We'd love to go to Nashville, sit in some bars, listen to some live music. That would be a lot of fun. I'm giving it serious consideration. So when they they use a lottery system, so when they have their signups for it, I'm going to go ahead and register. And they say that they usually end up accommodating most of the people on the wait list due to people that have to cancel. So 2019 is going to be the year I go to Nashville in July. Yeah. Kind of excited. And just looking around, make sure I didn't miss anything. And I don't think I have. I think that's it. This has been a pretty long podcast for me, but it's been a while since I talked. And I missed you guys, so I've been a little chatty. Hopefully you all have been enjoying your summers, have got in lots of good knitting and time outdoors, and are enjoying it while you can. You can find me on Ravelry and Instagram as DannyGirlCO, and show notes can be found at www.myhighplainslife.blogspot.com. Thanks for watching. Enjoy. Bye.